Hello everyone, this is Steve Huff at SteveHuffPhoto.com. Today I have a couple of new cameras to check out. One of them is new but not so new, and the other one is a new improved version of a Sony camera already out. This is the RX100II and the RX1R. The Sony, we'll go to the Sony RX1R first, and many of you have read my review of the Sony RX1, which is Sony's 35mm full-frame fixed lens camera with the Zeiss 35 f2 lens, all-in-one compact body. So a lot of people complained about the cost because it was $2,750 at launch, and a lot of people complained that it was too large because of the lens that sticks out. But in reality, this is a very, very compact camera because you're getting the Nikon D800 performance in a small jacket pocketable camera. Now Sony has upped the ante on the RX1, and now they offer, as you can see, the RX1R. The R stands for resolution because Sony has removed the anti-aliasing filter in the camera, which means you're going to get that little extra ounce of detail, sharpness, and crazy resolution from this full frame sensor. The camera has not changed at all in any other way. It's exactly the same as the RX1. All they did was remove that filter so you get a little bit more detail and resolution, sharpness in your photos. If you shoot JPEG only, say you have an RX1 and you shoot JPEG and you upgrade to the RX1R, you're probably not going to see the difference. You might see a teeny difference, but it's very teeny. If you shoot RAW and you're picky about your detail, you like to shoot landscapes, or you want every ounce of detail you can get, the RX1R is the version to get. Sony informed me they are not discontinuing the RX1, the standard version. This is just an added option for those that want the extra sharpness and detail. Now, why would anyone choose the old version over the new version? Well, there is one reason, and that's moire, which can show up in some images if you shoot finely detailed patterns or finely detailed architectural things. You might see it pop up. In the samples that I've shot so far, I have not seen it pop up once, but it will pop up in certain situations. With that said, I've shot a Leica M9 for 3 years, and that also does not have the AA filter, and I had 2 instances of moire showing up in my photos. So it all depends on what you want. Me, if I was buying new today, I would definitely go with the RX1R because it is the same exact price as the RX1. Unlike Nikon, who upped the price of the D800E, Sony kept the price the same. So it's $27.98. It's exact same body, exact same lens, exact same sensor, exact same menu. Nothing has changed. It's just like an RX1 with the filter removed. You can see some full frame, full size samples over at my website, SteveHuffPhoto.com, and I will be doing a refresh review of the RX1 using the RX1R camera, thanks to Sony for lending it out to me for a little while. Now, I also wanted to show next to the RX1, because people used to complain it was too large and too bulky and too expensive. But remember, you're getting a 35 Zeiss f2 lens built in, and it's one of the highest rated lenses of all time. Not the highest rated, but one of the highest rated lenses of all time. It's an excellent lens. You get it in the small body with a full frame 35mm sensor, ISO capability up to 25,600, and I've used it in black and white at 25,600, and it's amazing. Now, Leica came out with the Leica X Vario, which they marketed as a compact camera, a compact solution, a mini M. And if you see, I'm going to put it next to the RX1 here. Let's see if I can bring this out a little bit. You can see it's much bigger than the RX1. It's like a giant next to the mini RX1. And the Vario is not even full frame. The Vario is APS-C. You have a 28-70 zoom. The Sony, you have a 35 fixed. So with the zoom though, the only issue that people are having with this Leica zoom is the aperture starts at f3.5. By the time you're at 35mm, the maximum aperture you can use is f4.5. right here you got f2 starting at. So your aperture's slow, you need a lot more light. As far as high ISO, this is really good. The Leica X is very good. The Sony definitely edges it out in ISO performance. Focusing, the Sony is quicker, especially in low light. This one usually misses. I have to set it to manual focus if we're in low light or indoors, in lower light indoors, where this one will still nail it with the autofocus. Neither of them are speed demons, but there's much richer and deeper image quality coming from the RX1R, where the Leica X Vario is more crisp, sharp across the frame, like bright Leica colors, etc. So both of these are $2,800. Which one would I choose? I'd choose the Sony RX1R without hesitation, but some of you may like the zoom of 28 to 70. One thing I want to talk about though, a feature in the RX1R, because it is such a high resolution sensor, 24 megapixels versus 16, remember that, full frame 24 megapixel, APS-C 16. You can shoot the Sony in 35mm, you can press this button up here, go right to 50mm, press it again and go to 75mm. So in essence, you have a 35 to 70 lens in this Zeiss, and what it's doing is it's cropping it. So by the time you get to 50, you're almost like an APS-C size sensor. By the time you get to 75, you're a little bit smaller, but Sony has some algorithms in the software that keep the quality up there and really nice. So again, you can't shoot 35, 50, 75 with the Sony. You can shoot 28 to 70 on the Vario, all in APS-C. Again, you do get cropped in the camera at 50 and 75, and it works in JPEG only, but it is there as an option. Image quality wise, I prefer the RX1. Night shooting, I prefer the RX1. AF speed, I prefer the RX1. Size, I prefer the RX1. Lens, I prefer the RX1. So same price, it all depends on if you want the zoom and the Leica name, or if you want the low light and fast Zeiss lens with the Sony. So there you go, the Sony RX1R. Amazon and B&H are now taking pre-orders. I'll throw the link in the description for anyone that wants to check it out. Also, just for fun, we'll bring up another camera in between, which is the Leica M240, and you can see what that looks like next to the cameras. So it's not that far off in size from the X Vario. In fact, if they would have put a viewfinder in the Vario, it would have been the same size as the M. And you got the Sony little guy over there. The Sony's all metal built. It feels just as solid as the Leica cameras do in build. So let's bring up another camera. The Ricoh Gr next to the Sony RX1R. You can see, you know, the Ricoh Gr is small. So how is it in comparison size-wise? Of course, the body size is a little bit smaller by being a little bit shorter. Thickness, they're about the same. Of course, the Sony has the lens protruding, but if you do that same comparison with the Leica X Vario, boom, you will see that big lens pop out, and this does not go any more compact. Another camera I've been using lately is this Samsung NX300, which is almost the same size as the GR, a little bit thicker here, and of course it's interchangeable lenses. APS-C, APS-C. The Samsung NX300 is actually one of those rare deals where you can get the camera body and a lens for like $600, and it's an excellent camera. Excellent build, excellent grip, stylish, touch screen, swivel screen, does not have a viewfinder, but image quality is very good, and the 30 f2 lens, which equals a 50, seems to be doing pretty good in my testing. But the big news around here, also, one more camera, the Sony RX100II, which is the update of the RX100, which was wildly popular. It looks the same, it's very tiny. We'll put it next to the GR so you can see just how tiny, because it's smaller than the small pocket-sized GR. Now, the Sony has a 1-inch sensor. It has a nice fast zoom, an f1.8 to f4.9 zoom range. So you're looking at this teeny little camera, and when you turn it on, you'll see the zoom pop out. So that way, when you turn it off, it pops right back in. So what did they add on the RX100II? You now have a tilt screen So if you want to get those cool angles overhead, underneath, you can tilt your screen. The RX100 did not have that. You also have a hot shoe, which can take the Sony EVF. And here it is with the Sony EVF attached. It makes it kind of funny looking, but actually not too bad. It's not going to slide in your pocket with the EVF on, but you have that capability. You have that capability where you can look down into the finder, shoot it at waist level, and it becomes a pretty cool little camera with the EVF on. It works really well. So that's the RX100II. They also added another feature that you could turn on in the menu, that when you turn this control dial, you can set this dial to do any function you want. One of them including, you can use it so when you turn it, it'll go through steps of the zoom range. So it'll start out at 28 millimeter, turn it, it'll go to 35, turn it, it'll go to 50, turn it, it'll go to 70, etc. So it makes it where you can get exactly the focal length that you're looking for. The RX100II is a very, very nice looking camera. It's made in China on the bottom. I believe the first RX100s were made in Japan, but now they're made in China. Other than that, it's the same camera, same controls. All you're getting is the LCD that swivels. You're getting the EVF capability, and there were a couple of enhancements to the sensor. So you are getting a one-stop improvement in low light / high ISO. So it will give you better high ISO performance. Now, not everybody wants these additions to their RX100 because the swivel screen does add a little bit of thickness to the body over the RX100I. So Sony is keeping the RX100I and 2 on the market. So again, you can choose which model you like. If you think you're going to want a tilt LCD or an EVF capability camera, go with the RX100II. Retail price is $749. I believe the retail of the RX100 is $649. I might be mistaken, but that's what I remember it being. So there you go, the RX100II and the RX1R. The same EVF works on both cameras, which is Sony's premium EVF, which is much better than the EVF even that Leica uses, which is the Olympus VF2. Very sharp, very clear, very nice looking through it. So there you go, RX1R, RX100II, and all the other cameras I have behind it. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can always see more, including my full refresh review of the RX1R and RX100II over at stevehufpphoto.com. Bye.